Hey everybody. A quick note before starting today's episode. In the previous episode, I had made the announcement that I was going to be taking a break from Psychotropic after the release of the 50th episode. With that break, I also announced that I would be discontinuing both the website as well as the Patreon program. I'll be officially taking down both of those come this Friday, the 13th. So from that point on, if you're interested in getting a hold of me and sharing a story or giving me feedback, you'll have to do so via psychotropicpodcast@hotmail.com. Also, if you're interested in buying a t-shirt, be sure to get your order in before Friday. I just reduced the price down to $15 in an attempt to deplete the remainder of my inventory. So, if you're interested in getting your hands on a little bit of psychotropic memorabilia, this is your chance. Having said that, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for listening, everybody.
I don't know. I've really kind of learned about it from a distance. I really like learning about them. I can't find them anywhere. Everyone I asked, do you know anyone who has mushrooms? No, man, I don't know. I just got it from some guy who got it on a fluke. So it's been really hard for me to get a hold of these substances. But I don't know. It's something I just find kind of. I don't know the words. It's fascinating to me. These things, these substances that open these doors, with the way that we look at the world. And I don't know if it's creating something that's already there and it's just twisting it, or if it is like something like DMT, which is, and there are people who believe it brings you to a whole totally different dimension. So it's just something that's always kind of piqued my brain.
Psychotropic presents Dylan.
So it happened in, I believe it was around the fall or winter of, I want to say 2008. I did the math and everything. I think it's 2008. It was my junior year of high school. I know that much. And my best friend, we'll call him Jay, he had just got on probation and he was being drug tested pretty frequently. I want to say like every 2 to 3 weeks. And so we're not going to take the risk that, let's try and smoke weed and, just drink a lot of water for 2 weeks. And we kept hearing about this substance called spice. You can get it at a gas station, you can get it at a smoke shop. And we actually had a friend who was just kind of outside of our group. He was telling us that he went to the smoke shop and he bought it. And he was telling us about his experience. And it was just the craziest experience. He said the guy allowed him to smoke it out back. And when he came back inside the shop, he sat in this little nook that they had in the front of the store. And he was watching the cars go by on the highway. And then all of a sudden, he said, time just started to slow down to the point where he could swear that at one point in time, there was a moment where time just stood still. And he could move around and he could look around and everything. But the cars on the highway that were going like 60 miles per hour were just stopped. And drugs like that were kind of always an interest of ours. At this time, we had just been smoking marijuana for 2 years pretty heavily, but we kind of wanted to get into that scene a little bit. So we decided that, on this night, sometime in November 2008, was going to be the night that we smoked spice. So we headed over to pretty much the only smoke shop that was near us in New Jersey at that time. And we headed down there, and I remember just feeling very nervous, because it was all new to me. I didn't know what to expect, really. And I remember walking in, and the second we went in, you could smell this. They would always be burning incense. And I'll never forget, it was dragon blood. And the second that came over me, I just felt a little bit calmer. And we walked up to the guy, and there's like smoke going past his face. It was like one of the movies. And we're like, hey, man, we're here to buy spice. And he looks at us and he goes, all right, dudes. So what do what's your experience? And we told him, we've been smoking for a while now. He's on probation, so we can't really get anything that we want. So yeah, we're here for spice. And he showed us this packet called Space. And he let us know that the ratings were dependent on the color of the star. And he said that, based on what we told him, that we would be perfect for the purple star pack. And that was the strongest that they had. So of course, I think it was like 30 something bucks for 3 grams. And we bought that. And pretty ritualistically, we went to his house, and what we would be, every single weekend, we would be over his house, and we'd wait till midnight until his parents went to sleep, and we would sneak out the side door to go in back. And this night was no different. So we snuck out the side door, wrapped around the porch, dodged the motion lights, went behind the garage and onto the side and through into the dollhouse. And this dollhouse was pretty cool. It was like, I don't know, for like, I guess bigger kids, but inside it was fully furnished, had like seats that you could sit on, had a table, little lantern that we used to like, see what we were splitting up on the table and everything. And yeah, we were just, we opened up the pack, and I remember it smelled just like oregano. I guess what they do is they just spray these herbs with JWH018, and or at least that's what it was at the time. Now there's they have JWH073 and 250 something, but at the time 018 was the one that was going around. And so we opened it up, and just as the guy at the smoke shop instructed, we packed the bowl just like weed. That's what he said. I'll never forget those words. He said, dudes, it's just like weed. You can pack it in a bowl, you can put it in a joint, just smoke it just like weed. So we listened to him, and it was probably our biggest mistake. So we do a little countdown, 10, 9, 8, 7. And when we get to 1, Jay takes the first hit, and he marks his side of the bowl and then passes it to me, and I quickly take a hit right behind him. We hold it in our lungs. I remember it was really harsh. It tore up your lungs. It burned all the way down. And it didn't taste good. I don't remember what it tastes like, but I just remember just wanting to like cough it up immediately. And we exhaled, and we looked at each other and we go, all right, do you feel anything? Nothing. So we decide, all right, let's just keep going until we feel something. So we hit it again and again and again. And then we repack it, and we hit it again and again and again. And by this time it was like 10 minutes in, and we were starting to get pissed. We thought we wasted our money. We thought we just got a bum bag of literally oregano in time. But we kept hitting it, and we packed it a third time. And by that time we were kind of done with it. We were just like, whatever, we're going to smoke it. We'll see what happens. Nothing's going to happen. So we're hitting it back and forth. We're talking in between. And then all of a sudden it just hit, hard. And I don't really know what to compare it to. I don't want to say it's like salvia, because salvia is different. It's a little bit more, it's not gentle, but it just feels a little bit more organic, I want to say. With this stuff, it just came out of nowhere, and it smacked you hard. But I remember being okay with it in the beginning. I remember enjoying it a little bit. Everything it felt just like weed in the beginning. The laughs, the giggles, the weird thoughts coming through your head. And I remember looking at him, and he had his little his signature smile on whenever we got out. He got from ear to ear, he has a smile, and then his eyes are just like little slits. You can barely see his eyes every single time. And I'm enjoying it, and then all of a sudden, it just got heavier. It kind of felt like I was in a wind tunnel where there was just wind. I want to say, like, you ever been in one of those little like wind tunnels that they have at, I don't know where you would go in one, almost like an amusement park. You step inside, you close the door, you put the quarters in, and then it kind of like mimics a hurricane or a tornado. It was just this fast, steady increase, and it got to the point where I could start to hear the blood in my head. Like, straight up, it was the blood in my head just gushing through the veins. And at that point, I just got real nervous. I felt like, what am I doing? I'm taking this thing. I don't know what it is. The people selling it don't know what it is. It's brand new, and I smoked a lot of it. We smoked 3 bowls of it, and that realization kind of hit me. I was like, okay, hold on. I smoked 3 bowls of it, and I'm just starting to feel it now. How much higher am I about to get? And that's when I look over at Jay, and he opens his eyes a little bit, just to kind of like focus himself. And I looked into his eyes, and they were pitch black. There was not an ounce of white in his eyes. His eyes were just completely black. And his head started to swell up like a balloon. Like, I could literally hear the stretching of the balloon. It was so weird. And it was the shape of a balloon, and then his teeth grew long and sharp. And his tongue came out of his mouth just like a serpent. And deep down, I knew that this was all because of the drugs. And, I'm kind of thankful that I've read those stories about, man, just remember, it's because you took the drugs, so calm down. It'll eventually leave your system. So I was happy about that, but it was getting really hard to, hold on to reality and be, and accept this. I guess I can say that it's just really hard to be okay with it. Yeah, so he's sitting in front of me as a devil, and I start freaking out, and I let him know. I said, hey, dude, I think I'm having a bad trip. And for some reason, he goes, he just starts laughing, and I let him know. I say, no, dude, I think I'm really having a bad trip. And he responds with, I'm having a bad trip, like just completely kind of mimicking me and adding a little accent to it. And for some reason, it freaked me out because I felt like maybe that's how I'm talking, and I can't hear myself talking like that. So it was kind of this weird disassociation. Like, am I speaking like that and I don't know, or what's going on here? So I let him know. I said, no, dude, seriously, I'm having a bad trip. I'm having a bad trip. Oh shit, man. Am I talking like that? I don't know. I can't hear myself. I'm having a bad trip. No, dude, seriously, like, I think I'm having a bad trip. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then, that goes back and forth a couple times, and it just freaked me out to the point where I got really claustrophobic in the dollhouse. It just kind of shrunk on me, and I said, fuck this. And I got up, I hit my head on the ceiling, and then I just bum rushed the door. And Jay followed me out, and he kind of realized that I was being completely serious. I was not having a good time. And he kind of switched tune right away. He's like, oh, dude, look, I'm sorry. Are you okay? What's going on? And I let him know. I said, look, you have black eyes. Your tongue is out of your mouth like a snake, and I can't deal with this right now. So, we sat there for a little while right outside, and the fresh air kind of helped out, just kind of cleared my head. And I was looking around, and everything was cool, it still felt like weed, at that point when we were outside. Where, you're looking at nature and it's beautiful. It's swaying back and forth. And then I would look at him, and he was still a demon. It was weird. It was really strange. So he mentioned that we should probably go inside, grab something to eat. And so we start heading inside. And as we're going past this long grass, it grew on the side of his house. There was this vacant lot. And as we're passing it, the grass is blowing in the wind. And it was really tall grass. I remember at one point there was a patch of grass that just kind of just all at once just kind of moved over, and I could see this weird creature that was just beyond the grass, like not within reach. I couldn't touch it or anything. It was maybe, I don't know, 10 yards in, but it was just straight. I wasn't scared of it. It just felt like I'm intruding on its in this realm. I shouldn't be here. I invited myself here, but I shouldn't be here. So I'm just going to be kind. I'm going to leave it alone, and I'm going to go inside. And that's what we did. We went inside, sat on the couch in the living room. We put on Seinfeld, and I couldn't focus on it. It felt, that's when it started to feel a lot like a mushroom trip, the headspace, where you just kind of, you're thinking of a million things and you can't really hold on to an idea. And he got up to get a bite, and I couldn't be alone. So I followed him into the kitchen, and I sat at the stool. I sat on a stool at the counter, and I put my head in my arms, and I closed my eyes. And I remember I had these closed eye visuals that were just weird blobs of nothing, with salvia, with mushrooms, with DMT, with all these other substances. You're seeing either patterns, right? These old geometric patterns, or you're seeing organic things and trees and forests and, different stuff like that. But with this, it was just, I don't know, it was like, it was dirty blobs. It just didn't feel right. I don't know if that's because it's, this man-made chemical that we should not be, taking into our bodies, but it just felt wrong. And I remember the shapes that I was seeing were giving off colors that I could read. And the colors that I read were feelings, and they were just all bad feelings. It's very hard to describe. But yeah, they were feelings that I could read through color, and it was all bad stuff. And then at that point, I remember, floating. I don't want to say that. I opened my eyes, and I saw the back of someone's head. And I remember thinking, why am I so close to him right now? I need to back up. I'm like way too much in this personal space. So I back up, but instead of backing up, I kind of go up diagonally, and I'm backing up and going up at the same time. And I remember thinking, this is really weird. I'm a short guy. I'm too high. This is weird. And I'm looking around, and I'm looking into the dining room, and I'm looking into the kitchen, and I see Jay getting a pizza, an Elio's pizza, and he's putting it in the oven. And I'm like, this is really weird. And then I look down, and I see me in, my head in my arms, and I'm just sitting there. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? This isn't right. Why am I dead? This is not right. I shouldn't be here. And I look down, and I can see through myself, and it was just a very weird feeling. And I remember being flooded with anxiety, and I don't know, my spirit or whatever, I rushed back into my body with so much force that I actually got thrown over the counter and I knocked something off or something. And Jay turned around and goes, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And I explained to him, I said, look, man, I was just floating out of my body. Like I swear, like I had no words at that moment, but I was trying to let him know what was going on. And he looked at me, and the look on his face said that he understood what was going on. And it was kind of in that moment that I realized he was just as high as me, totally handling it better than me. Like I was compared to him, I was handling like a bitch, but he was handling well. And I realized that, this in this spice headspace, that was totally normal. He understood that could have happened, that I could have experienced that. And, yeah, it was very weird. And it was not too long after that I started to hear voices in I don't know if it was in my head or if it was whatever, but I just remember hearing a woman's voice very low, and it was coming from the living room. And it was just, Dylan. And I was like, dude, do you hear that? He's like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't hear those voices? Dylan, come here, Dylan. And at that point, I was done. I couldn't handle. I was like, all right, I'm done with this. I needed to be over. And I don't know. It was just from that point, I don't remember much. I remember eating the pizza, and pretty soon after the pizza. So that was about an hour after we smoked everything. After about an hour, I finally started to come down pretty abruptly. And I took Spice after that. And I remember even those times, it was pretty abrupt to come down. There were no weird effects as I was coming down. It was just, you came down hard. And that's kind of what happened. It was like maybe 5 minutes after I heard the voices and we ate pizza.
This episode was produced by me, Philip Johnson. All songs used can be found in the description section of this episode. If you liked what you heard today, please subscribe. Also, if you're interested in supporting the show and making Psychotropic more available to more people, be sure to rate and leave a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. If you're interested in getting a sneak peek of upcoming episodes, you can do so by following Psychotropic on Instagram at Psychotropic Podcast, all one word. Lastly, if you're interested in reaching out and sharing a story, or if you'd just like to give some feedback, you can contact me via email at psychotropicpodcast@hotmail.com. I'm pretty good about getting back to people fairly quickly, so if this is something that interests you, by all means, don't hesitate. Get a hold of me. Having said all that, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.